Alright, so my orchid collection has really suffered over the winter, and I got it out late this year, and it got very dry because toward the late end of it living in my sunroom, I get really busy at work and I basically don't water, and it gets really hot in there and everything gets really desiccated. So for this blooming update for June, I'm going to cover both plants that are currently blooming as well as things that are either in the stages of dying or trying to come back from having almost died. I'll start here with one of my purchases from Nats, which you would have seen in my last video. This is trying to get the tag around right here. Loose Sneery by Prelor, and I showed in my other video multiples of these at Nats that had different colored flowers. So I find this just a really cool bloom to have. Let's see if we can get it in focus. Just really amazing color on this. I love the pink edging. It makes me think of like Bangkok sunrise. Alright, so then I bought this Renanthera. What it really amazes me about this Renanthera, of which Nats had just like dozens, is how short it is. I mean, look at it. It is only, it will back up. It is not very tall. And that's, well, it's a hybrid, but that's what makes this one really interesting to me, because most Renanthera are very, very tall, and I usually don't try to grow them because they take up too much vertical space. So this is, let me give you I have to come around, hopefully I won't step in a puddle. It has been raining a lot in Chicago, like tons and tons of rain. We can't even see that. Flowers, I'll have to turn around before. My neighbors are loading up their car. You also hear that. But here we go. This is Renanthera Gerald Tan. So let me see if I can shoot this from above so you can get a better sense of the beautiful red color on this. Yeah, I just love the shade, the color of Renanthera. They're just amazing, but usually super, super tall. This right here is my Wildcat clone Carmela, and it's been blooming very nicely here. A lot of my Oncidium type hybrids got mealybugs, and I had to basically power wash them when they were coming out, and most of them are doing this right here. So after you power wash them, of course, I probably have disturbed the pollinia, and then all the flowers are falling off and hitting the ground like little flower corpses. So my nobly type Dendrobiums, like this is Dendrobium Holy Night, and usually these guys like to bloom in January. They're winter bloomers. They're supposed to get a dry rest, which I don't really give mine, intentionally at least. They unintentionally get a dry rest because I don't have a hose inside, and I don't water them as much in the winter just because I don't have enough time. But some of them, a lot of these hybrids will occasionally come through and bloom again in the summer. So this Holy Night is blooming again. Something that's really suffered are my Masvidalias. So I had them both at the bottom of the rack, and one of them is fine. So this one is fine. But this one over here got really, really desiccated. Both of these are ones that I stole from my sister's yard just by reaching into her pots and grabbing a water plant and then bringing them home in a Ziploc bag. This is a species, it's Veciana, and I haven't gotten it to bloom yet, of course, and I've almost killed it. Anyways, so when I brought it outside, it was really desiccated, and then promptly all the leaves got horribly sunburned and fell. For the most part, you can tell, fell off. Thankfully, it looks like it's sturdier than my ability to kill it, and it's put out a couple new green shoots. So I've actually stuffed it underneath my Kingianum hybrids so that it gets dappled shade, and we'll see how it does if it makes it to the winter. Best growing season is now, and Chicago's being really nice to my Masphidalias right now by being really cold, even though we're about a week from the summer solstice, and really wet and rainy. So good environment for Masphidalias. My Kingianum hybrids, for whatever reason, okay, they also got a slight infestation of mealybugs, which I have blown off with high-powered water. I have not applied insecticide to anything yet, but a whole bunch of them have developed yellowish leaves that look like they're on the way out. They do have new shoots. See, so there's new growth, but I'm not quite sure why bunches of them, like all of them, like just, you know, decide to shed leaves like crazy. Probably because they're unhappy. Possibly I gave them too much light. I have no idea right now. But clearly all of them are going to do it together. This right here is my Maxillaria variabilis, and I think it comes in more than one color. Mine has got black or very dark red flowers on it, and this is one that I bought at the iOS winter auction. It was one part of the silent auction. And of course, then after I brought it home, if you look over here, my cats ate it. So it got very eaten. It was sitting on the ground to start with, got eaten, was horribly tortured. But hey, I didn't get all the flowers, and it did come into bloom. It's not the most beautiful plant, so see, here's another eaten leaf, more eaten leaves, but it does have these adorable little flowers. I guess it will never be competition quality at this point, given how much my cats have eaten it. Over here on the side of the garage, I have, I don't know, I think that's actually some kind of, we'll call it a weed flower. It's some kind of like wildflower that's bloomed up. And then I have mealybug central over here. So these are all the Nobly Dendrobiums, which got horribly infested with mealybugs, and they still have mealybugs. And no, I haven't. It's been windy, and I don't like to use insecticide when it's really windy, so it gets on other stuff. I like to keep it really localized, but they all got horribly infested with this kind of black smut that you can see right here. So you can see more black smut. And like mealybug, look at that. Look at that mealybug. I don't know if there's any live ones right there, but that's like, you can tell they came through here. So a lot of these are in bud, but, and here we have Nobly Dendrobium that's blooming its little heart out despite being horribly infested with mealybugs. But I've been trying to power spray these areas whenever I find mealybug infestations, and at some point when it's a little bit warmer and not so windy and rainy, I'm going to insecticide everything over here. More things that are in mealybug central and are blooming is this Oncidium Jimbo Swarm. When they came out, they were in bloom and of course covered in mealybugs. And if you're wondering what I mean when I say I power spray them, Basically, this is mechanical removal of mealybugs. So rather than a Q-tip and alcohol, I basically take a hand sprayer, set on some kind of direct jet, and I just do this. And I just spray them really, really hard. Like this Encyclia right here, Alata. I had mealybugs on all the flower buds, and I also sprayed it off. So, try to get it as close as possible. I just spray it. I cannot do this inside, so this is why it gets so terribly, terribly out of control. But hey, outside, all the water just goes right to the ground, and I can just apply as much force as I want. Die, vermin, die! Well, get washed away. One would hope that the water would be enough force to squish their little bodies, but I don't think I'm that lucky. This right here is my wall of mounted orchids. I think the only thing that's blooming on it right now is this Victoria Regina, which the flower did not open up very much. It also got sort of dry, and this is the one that I got at the Batavia Orchid Show from that guy that I know who's a member of the Wisconsin Orchid Society, and if you remember me talking about it before, he just picked it out of the display and sold it to me. And I feel that I have not treated it very well, as you can tell by its complete lack of leaves. Just this one piece right here is still going. It's getting a lot of light. It's very red. But yeah, not doing as well as we'd like. Right underneath it actually is an Amphiphylum variegated, and you can just see the variegation on this. You know, the pink edging, getting too much light. It's supposed to be, I guess, variegated white and green, but it's coming out pink and green. Then here is the wall itself. We'll back up very carefully. It's very wet out here and narrow. I don't have a lot of room to move. I'm trying to do this evenly because apparently I make some people seasick, but there is all my mounts hanging on a bit of plastic fencing. So right down here I have Cattleyas in bloom. The thing about stuff being outside for the summer is it gets a lot of water damage. Even these Cattleyas that have, this has actually got very thick substance. You can see the water damage on the leaves. So if I want to preserve how these guys look, I really need to take them inside, which I have not. But this is, I believe, Village Chief North in bloom. And then right next to it, see if I can lift these up, I have this Bretonia hybrid that's in bloom. And this is, I think, Jill Syndron. Yes, this is Jill Syndron, which was Jamaica Red by Peggy Huffman, and its hybrid name is Jill Syndron. So hiding under this leaf here is Greendale Dressy, with a large ant on one of the flowers. It's also got some leaf damage going on. And I have to say that I don't know. I don't think this one actually caught mealybugs, but I've got some blotchiness going on with the flowers. You can see there's some of the red coming out. I don't test, I have too many orchids here, and I don't test mine for virus, but this doesn't really quite look like color break, but it could be. And it's a little bit, this flower actually is a little mutated, look at that. So half of it's the white, like you would see here, and half of it's green. But yeah, I would consider this set of a set of suspicious flowers right there. Okay, so this is Epi Green Hornet, tucked right underneath here. The whole plant, oh, maybe it is Green Hornet, sorry. The whole plant is actually down under here. It's got a couple stems in bloom. It's a summer bloomer for me. It really needs to be repot, because if you look in the middle here, that's all dead. But I have, well, I meant to repot in the winter before it hit active growth, and I haven't gotten to it yet. So hopefully I'll get to it this summer, but every time I think about repotting, it rains. Despite my best attempts, I did not murder all my Neophanetia falcata. That one does look particularly sad, but this one is in bloom. And I think this is just a straight Neophan. Oh, it's got snails. I can see snails on the tag. It's not gonna, yeah, this is just a straight falcata. It's not crossed with anything. But hey, and infested with snails. I managed to not murder all the Vandas by freezing them to death last winter. They don't look great. I mean, seriously. I mean, they look like I tried to murder them, as you can see by all the freezer burned marks, but they're recovering nicely and putting out nice new fat roots. There's a nice root coming out. So there's hope yet that these guys will bloom. And yes, I'm growing a very large dog in my backyard. I also have this Catante that's in bloom and also was infested with mealybugs when it came out. It had several spikes when it first came out, so this one right here is done, and you can see this one right here is still in bud. It's like tangled with the other one, this other branch of flowers right here. There we go. And this one opened up a few weeks ago, and it's starting to fade now. I did have to power wash all these flowers from mealybugs. So this one's really nice. It didn't all bloom at once, but it's blooming sequentially, and so I'll have some nice flowers for a while. This here is a bulbal phylum that I got from Carmela's when I bought that species package. And you can see it's sort of laying here. It belongs in this container, but it's a little bit too big. You can see it doesn't really fit back in. See, so I need to figure out what I should do about it. I mean, should I split it up and pot it, or should I just try to find a bigger basket? Think about it. Anyway, so right now it's just laying on top of my cattleyas like that. Indoors, I have my quote-unquote cool tank, my cool orchidarium. It's almost fully automated now. I have a new LED light up here because the light that was on the aquarium was like pretty much too dark. And then I have my reptile fogger with its fog going in, and I have a fan. I didn't actually buy a computer fan and install it because well, then I would have had to, attach it to a power source and everything. But I found this USB desk fan for the same price. And then I have it attached just to one of these new extension cords that come with USB outlets. Like this, and then it's all on a timer down there. A power strip timer. Inside the tank I have the Dendrobium leonis that I bought at Nat's, and the Ingracum didiri sib. Alright, blooming inside. I have also, it's a Dendrobium cross back there. This tag we can't see. Let's see, we can zoom in on the flower. It's like pinkish. I've got the lid open on my tank here. I've got a little flip lid that I've opened up. And then always, always, always in bloom is this little guy right here. It's a little bit close enough. It's got these tiny little orange flowers on it all the time, so you can see that. The orange one that's in bloom is Lepanthes domingenesis. Just see the little flowers there. Also in the tank, but the flowers aren't open yet, is the Dendrobium officinale right there. If you look right in front of it, I have a Harela retrocala that is just starting to put out a spike. I also got a Dendrobium trinervium from Nat's last week, and it might also be spiking. Nat says that's a spike. I'm thinking it's a keiki. I guess we'll know sometime soon. Here's one last flower in bloom. This is an Encyclia pugliata. It's upside down, but it's in bloom, and you know, it's in moss, and it's doing fairly well because it's hard for me to fully desiccate anything that's growing in moss. Not that I don't try. I try very hard to kill all of it, but so far moss is better for my lazy watering habits.